probably two or three things I think is happening. One is seasonality, as the whole nation is now approaching the peak of the summer. You have a lot better of supplies locally and also across cities, across province, that food become more, available. China's CPI basket is very different from the CPI basket of ours here. In London, for instance, in the UK, is heavily on energy, household spending, so on and so forth, where China's CPI is still heavily on food. When now it's summer, a lot of the fruits and veggies and pork are slightly relatively become a bit cheaper, and also people now has more tendency towards a more healthy diet. I did notice in the recent months, though the pork price did increase, but I did notice in recent months, if not years, that people start to choose more healthy diet. Less, you remember, like a few years ago, that we heavily focus on the pork price is what the household is spending. So one is seasonality, a bit of a rebalancing of the Chinese people's favorite of preferences on diet. Third, I wouldn't necessarily think it's just very linked, because the index itself reflects the price, but not really the spending. People is now buying prices cheaper, but it's also the season, summer's approach. I was literally in China in June to attend Summer Davos. I do, walk around a bit on the streets and see how people, normal life are. I see some of the restaurants just walk on the streets, random streets, and to see restaurants. Kind of like 80-90% back out dining. May not be necessarily the perfect time as 2019. I think there's room to go for consumers to pick up, but I think CPI is probably facing a bit of cyclical.
Well, room for consumers to pick up. It has been persistently weak in China, hasn't it, domestic demand? What are the broader economic implications of that? It's very obvious. A lot of people is on the fence watching now, including Chinese owned domestic investor corporates, and some of the big institutional investors are doing similar things. People are kind of waiting for who is going to make the first move. The regulators has been consistency in implementing policies to stay accommodative. I feel still not so enough of the action to boost the market. Now there's a bit of a circulated message thinking that the national team in China will start to buy in a big way. Not only the large market cap stocks will start to support the small mid space. That's the real private sector in China. That potentially can help, but I still think the credit got to pick up, the action got to happen. The other thing is more clear directions of where domestically they can focus on growing rather than externally. I think externally going to continue to face challenge. You are right. The corporate teams continue to buy. The national team continue to buy. But at the end of the day, investors are marginally improved on their sentiments of the Chinese equities, have a toe in, but not a completely phase in.